Hey there, family. This is your friend, Lord Donovan Hylton, CEO of Hylton Elite Marketing Agency, your sales and marketing firm based in Nashville that provides business development and community relations outsourcing to public and private sector brands that either want to increase their customer base or their presence in urban communities of Tennessee. And our work is growing throughout the southeast region of the U.S., and we're looking to eventually serve as that communication bridge throughout the United States of America. We do also have a virtual office in London, England, and we want to make sure that as we're bridging communication gaps in urban areas of the U.S., we want to make sure that we're bridging those communication gaps eventually between the England and United Kingdom hemisphere and African diaspora countries. And so in that, we work with employers and workforce development organizations to help recruit local residents for their available jobs or their career training opportunities. We work with real estate developers that have a project that's going into an urban community where they need more buy-in or more communication and who to connect with to get buy-in on those projects, as well as we work with local businesses, usually that make $12 million or more in sales a year, that want more traffic to their building or to their website. And again, we're focused on a urban outreach perspective. And urban can be based upon ethnicity as well as population density, which are arts in their own. And through that, our work and my work has gone into government relations, especially when we're talking about employment recruitment, workforce development recruitment. We have to jump into education. And so in that, I want to shout out this t-shirt here, East Magnet Middle School in Nashville. I had the opportunity to serve as principal for a day, and I'll make sure I leave that link so you can check out that experience there. This was through, shout out to Principal Jackson, top notch. And this was through a nonprofit organization called Pencil. And I want to shout out Pencil. Again, it's a nonprofit that works as a liaison between the business sector and public school systems. And what they do is they reach out to business professionals that can really donate either their time or talent engaging and educating students at public schools during school hours. And so I always want to make sure I advocate for you as a professional, if your background allows, to make sure you're reaching out to your local schools and pouring in at least 1 hour a day, 1 day per week of educating, connecting with students, playing checker or chess, or using your skill sets to make sure that those students are heard, appreciated, and can be all they can be growing up. And so in that, the conversation of charter schools was brought to my attention. And if you don't know, I created a Facebook page called Explore Charter Schools. It was just launched, and I feel obligated to give reasoning as to why that Facebook page was launched, as I'm a man of transparency and I pray of integrity. And so with that being said, as I go through life and go through my journey, charter schools and the conversation of charter schools has been crossing my paths more and more to where I wanted to look into it. And certain areas and communities and territories that I serve are being introduced to and affected in a positive or negative way when it comes to charter schools. And so me being a facilitator and making sure there's transparency and communication, I wanted to create this page to make sure that, one, we can have a professional dialogue, and two, the thoughts that we give can be streamlined so we can show children and young adults that we as adults can be professional, mature, and tackling some of our most sensitive conversations. I say sensitive because when the idea of charter schools, or when charter schools came to me, and I've been familiar with them for a few years, but the last few months it's really just been hitting me. And so I said, you know what, let me go ahead and put a survey out. So I put this survey out on LinkedIn and on Facebook, a few other social media sites, and I want to say the answers was, how do you feel about charter schools? What do you feel about them? And you were either we need more charter schools, we don't need them, I need to learn more about them, or we need more diverse education. And when it came to we need charter schools or we don't need charter schools, it was about an even 20% split right down the middle. And then you had another, let's say about 25% split right down the middle. Then you had another 25% saying I need to learn more about them, and you had another 25% roughly, give or take, saying we need more diverse education, not necessarily charter schools. And I got a lot of phone calls, a lot of feedback, and the bottom line is it's a sensitive topic. And that's why I feel with someone with my skill sets of communication, wanting to get in front of this to make sure that we can be transparent and have a professional dialogue. So I'm going to speak on an article that was written through ncharters.org, and I'll leave the link for you to check out. But this article basically gives you the history, the origin, and just the growing trends of charter schools. So please fact check me, first of all, and do your research based upon what I say. But let's go ahead and jump into some fun facts to see if charter schools is the new way, maybe not the best way, who knows, let's talk about it and get into it, but is the new way of education moving forward. So here's some fun facts. The original concept of charter schools first originated in the 1970s by a New England educator by the name of Ray Budd. His idea was for groups of teachers to set up contracts or charters with their local school board to discover new approaches and ideas in the field of education. Now, when it comes to the concept of charter schools, its root lies in the progressive idea that by empowering the educators with additional freedoms, they can achieve a much higher rate of success. And so, respectfully, when I was reading what we just heard, first thing that came to my mind was contracts. And when I hear contracts, I'm thinking of agreements and I'm thinking of money. Very sensitive conversations in that. Then also I heard teachers and the school board. And those are very sensitive conversations there. And when I think of teachers, respectfully, I think of teachers' unions and what role they play with school boards. And then on top of that, I think of parents because you have, or guardians because you have the students in the actual school. And then I think of traditional tax-paying citizens because, respectfully, from my understanding, they're paying in toward public education. And so you're thinking, I'm thinking teachers, school boards, teachers' unions, parents, tax-paying citizens, all dealing around agreements and money. So do you understand why I wanted to create this Facebook page, Explore Charter Schools? I'm not saying that charter schools are the way to go. I'm not advocating to do it, but what I want to do is make sure that we have a platform where we're able to get the education, have a engaged dialogue, and from there, we're able to make an educated decision. That's what this is all about. And so when I think of charter schools and making sure that teachers, when I think of school period, there was a statement in there that we read as far as concepts that we want to make sure that the teachers have the freedoms that they need to feel empowered and to provide a higher success rate for the students. And I appreciate that. But at the same time, as parents or guardians, it starts with us. There's no reason, respectfully, that a teacher should be doing more than he or she has to do when it comes to educating the student. The students need to be aware that, one, public education is like it or not, public education is an opportunity that, respectfully, most Black Americans, Black and Browns didn't get a chance to do over 100 years ago. Black Americans, for sure, that I know of, didn't get a chance to experience. So for the simple fact that, being a Black American or Black and Brown American at the minimum, you get a chance to get free education so that you can graduate and receive the highest income you can get based upon what you like to do, what you're good at, what people need, and what people are willing to pay you for. You have to take advantage. And as parents, we have to make sure that we're delivering that message to students. And so if the student is not aware of why they're getting educated, and I'm not saying that the public school or charter school is the best way. You have home schools, you have private schools. It's a big conversation. But I do feel in a capitalistic society that you have to be educated so that you can bring in the income that you know that you want moving forward in life. And so keeping those things in mind, that will help a teacher, one, reach that success rate. Because once the student and the parents or guardians are on the same page going into the classroom, it's going to make the job easier for the teacher first and foremost, or the educator. But at the same time, from what I'm hearing, respectfully, educators may not have the freedom that they need to be able to teach the students to get that success rate that the teacher knows the student can get. And so I believe that was one of the concepts as to why charter schools were created in the first place. And that's why we want to have these conversations. It may be right, it may not be right. Fact check me, let's have the conversation. We need to do it so we can be on the same page as a team. Does that make sense? Some more fun facts. In the 1990s and 2000s, charter schools became one of the fastest growing educational reform policies in the country's history. By the 2000s, charter schools had become so popular that they were able to receive an additional boost in economic growth from government's administration offices. Matter of fact, President Obama even showed support of charter schools when he revised the School Improvement Grants program and developed the Race to the Top program, providing a means of transforming underperforming public schools into charter schools. And I know a couple of underperforming schools that are now overperforming. And I know, and again, I want to tip my hat off and salute educators, public school boards, because from my understanding, those school boards are residents that are elected by the people. And so putting yourself in that public light and going through that process and even being an educator, I appreciate you and I thank you for what you're doing. This is not a slight as to what you're not doing. It's just a conversation for you as an educator, as a public, as a school board member, as parents, as a teachers unions, as the money side, if you will, in government, even the students, respectfully, to have a conversation about the growing trends of charter schools. Another fun fact, to this date, there are at least 5,700 charter schools in the country with a student population of over 2 million. Over 5,700 charter schools and growing with a student population rate of 2 million. Do you see why I felt like this platform of Explore Charter Schools was a big deal to create on Facebook? We got to have that dialogue. And if I'm getting this information and I'm hoarding it to myself and doing things behind the scene, I'm not doing my job as being a facilitator between the public sector, the private sector, and the community. And that's why I created this platform, this page, so we can have these dialogues. Now, from my understanding, charter schools receive on average 70% of the funding compared to their public school counterparts, forcing them to struggle to make ends meet. They cannot fully rely on governmental resources to raise their funding and therefore must actively pursue other revenue sources to stay afloat. I think this is very important, respectfully, because when you're talking about creating a public charter school, respectfully, you're talking about now taking money away from what was already created to build something new, which I get. But at the same time, if the government's going to give you 70% of the funding through the school board or whatever that looks like, I do feel if you're looking to push that and you're one of the pushers of that, I do feel like it's your responsibility to come up with a sound way to get at least the remaining 30%. You really want to get 40% so that you have some surplus there. And to me, I think respectfully, being a school board member, I'm not, but if I were a school board member and someone pushed a charter school and they showed the numbers worked and all that, and the statistics worked, and they were able to show, hey, we have funding that will not jeopardize the school district, I think you're going to be in a better position to get your charter school approved than saying, hey, well, I'm going to take this 70% and then we're going to fundraise. That's not the way to do it, because these individuals, these professionals are working hard to provide these resources for students. And I know some school districts still pride themselves on a positive cash flow, on surplus. I know some school districts, there's not a lot anymore that can still provide free breakfast and free lunch to students that attend the schools, no matter what their income level is. So I know respectfully that the school board and the school board members, as well as the school district department heads, want to pride themselves on providing the most resources for the students, for the parents, starting with money. So if you're going to talk about creating a charter school and you don't have a way to get the money, come on, don't waste anybody's time, respectfully, if that makes sense. And so that's just an idea of, again, why I decided to create Explore Charter Schools on Facebook, so we can have that dialogue, so that teachers, the teachers union, board members, superintendents, parents, and guardians, students, as well as tax-paying citizens that have to give the money up, can have a dialogue. And it's very important for us to become engaged and educated on this growing trend, so we can decide as a community if the charter school is necessary for your school district. That's the biggest thing. And so if you get a chance, there's a link, I believe at the bottom, where if you want to complete that survey of what you feel about charter schools, you can complete that. And the 4 options are: we need charter schools, we don't need charter schools, I need to learn more about charter schools, or we need more diverse education. Like, those are the numbers that we need from your engagement that can help us decide if this is necessary or not, you know? And on top of that, visit www.e1connect.com/charter schools. There is some work and case studies that I've gone through as far as my experience to get more information about charter schools, to include my attendance of going to charter school appeal hearings when a charter school went to get their charter school approved in a school district and the school district didn't approve it and they went through the appeal process. I also have, I believe, my experience of me serving as teacher or principal for a day, as well as a survey on this page. And as I get more familiar and engaged in charter schools, I'll continue to put more information on that on that webpage through my company. But more so, make sure that you are liking and following and sharing Explore Charter Schools on Facebook, that page, because we want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and that by the time this is all said and done, we're not separating and becoming divided off of necessary, essential conversations. That's what I'm here to do. And if you have any questions or concerns, leave those questions or concerns in the comments. And respectfully, if it's very sensitive, just leave a message in the inbox and I'll make sure I get back to you. But thank you so much for the consideration and hearing me out. And I want to congratulate you in advance for your continued success, for you and your loved ones, whatever you guys pursue in life, going after it, and at least trying. And I did do a webinar of how to get comfortable being outside your comfort zone a few weeks ago. And we learned in that webinar that failure is just an illusion, because through failure, we're able to get not only education, but experience, and at the minimum, and we're able to learn and tweak things. And there's a whole conversation in that. But more so, make sure you continue to like that Facebook page, follow what we're doing as far as my work, and I wish you all peace and abundance in your life. Talk to you soon. Peace.